Welcome to Wired to Hunt Weekly. I'm Mark Kenyon, and this week we're talking about buck fever, and we'll be reliving one of the most intense and lengthy big buck encounters that I've ever had. Alright, so as I mentioned, we're talking about buck fever today, and that's something that we've all dealt with, and probably each and every one of us has had buck fever impact our hunting success to some degree. So with that being said, we all need to have a process in place to deal with it. So today, I want to take a look back at a clip from 2013 in which I had a really lengthy and intense encounter with a big buck, and then discuss what was going on in my head as I tried to deal with that buck fever leading up to a possible shot. So, let's roll a film. Alright, so this clip comes from Southern Ohio on October 8th of 2013. This was the first time I had ever hunted this property, and I had set up on the edge of a thin, narrow field in an observation stand to hopefully learn something about how deer use this area. About 2 hours before dark, I saw a shape down at the other end of the field, and quickly I realized it was a buck, and a really big one. As soon as I saw this deer in my binoculars and saw that he was coming my way, my heart started speeding up. The buck continued slowly ambling my way, and it became clear that he was most likely going to continue his path right along the edge of the woods all the way to me. This might actually happen. At this point, I began to feel that tightening and churning of the stomach, and then the shakes began to show themselves too. But I fought it, and I used my number one defense against buck fever: deep breathing. A deep breath in, hold it, a deep breath out. A deep breath in, hold it, a deep breath out. And ever so slowly, my heart rate returned to normal and my hands steadied. The buck continued his way towards me, and I continued my focus on breathing. The closer he got, the more my body wanted to explode, but I fought it again, and at this point I became very much dependent on my next form of defense, my own personal buck fever coach, myself. In this type of prolonged encounter, I find it helpful to talk myself through it. Keep your cool, Mark. Deep breaths. You've got this. Don't look at the antlers, just stay focused. You've got this. Breathe. And I talk myself through a situation like this. I stay positive and I try to keep myself off the edge. Believe it or not, it helps. Now, the buck had been taking his time working down the field, and it had now probably been about an hour since I first saw him. Finally, he disappeared behind a curve in the woodline, and I knew a shot could happen anytime. Once he emerged beyond that curve, he'd be just about in range. So at this point, I grabbed my bow from the hanger, and again, nerves rose to a frenzy. Breathe, breathe, breathe. Next, I began looking at the area I expected him to appear, and I began imagining the situation. This is another important trick for handling these types of situations. Visualize the situation. Visualize how you'll act and what you'll do. And finally, imagine drawing, taking that shot, and sinking the arrow right behind the buck's shoulder. I waited and breathed and recited my mental psychobabble. I was ready. Like my second grade teacher always said, I was calm and cool like a cucumber. And then, finally, he emerged. Alright, so there you have it. My 3-step process to dealing with buck fever. Deep breathing, talking myself through the situation, and then visualization. Now, you can also do some work pre-season to help prepare yourself for buck fever as well. A couple things I like to do include, practicing with my bow or gun while also exercising to simulate that increased heart rate. That also helps a lot too. Then, when you're actually in the moment and about to take a shot, what I also have is something called a mantra, where I repeat a phrase over and over again to make sure my brain is kind of focused in on the one thing I need to be doing, which is focusing on my form, taking my time, and getting a good clean shot. So before I shoot, I'm drawn back and I just say focus on form, focus on form, focus on form. And that helps keep me in the moment. So there's a couple tips from me on how I deal with buck fever. You might have some different tricks up your sleeve, but whatever it is, the most important thing is that you have a process in place. So I hope that helps. Good luck next time you have buck fever, and stay wired to hunt.